Welcome to On the L, where strategy meets accountability and leaders learn what it truly takes to elevate. I'm your host, LaTaye Davis, leadership strategist, organizational performance consultant, and founder of Elevate Leadership Partners, Elevate Talent, and the Elevation Lab. Every week, we have honest conversations about leadership, organizational performance, workplace culture, accountability, and professional growth. Because great leaders aren't born, they're developed intentionally. So, whether you're leading an organization, leading a team, or preparing to lead yourself into your next opportunity, you're in the right place. Let's get on the L. Today's episode is different. It's personal and it's timely. And I believe it's one of the most important conversations I've had on this platform. So before I get started, I've got to issue the challenge. Grab your notebook and your pen or pencil so that you can take notes and elevate as a leader. I want to take you back to 1986. Janet Jackson released an album called Control. Most people heard hit songs. Most people saw a young woman stepping out from behind the shadow of one of the most famous families in music. But when I listen to Control today, I don't just hear music. I hear ownership. I hear a woman making a declaration. I will no longer allow other people to define who I am. And almost 40 years later, I believe thousands of women, especially Black women, are standing at the same crossroads. Over the past several years, many have experienced layoffs, restructurings, reorganizations, stalled promotions, and workplace cultures that no longer felt sustainable. Some chose to leave. Others had the decision made for them. Every story is different, but many are now asking the same question. Who am I? Who am I now? And I don't believe that's an employment question. I believe it's an identity question. So let's talk about it. Here's what I think we've gotten wrong. We keep talking about jobs, but many women didn't just lose jobs. They lost routines. They lost communities, confidence, influence, titles. They lost the answer to the question, so what do you do? Because somewhere along the way, our careers stopped being what we did and started becoming who we. That's why career disruption hurts so deeply. It's not simply financial. It's emotional. It's psychological. It's personal. Because when someone asks, so what do you do? And you don't know how to answer anymore, you begin questioning your own value. That's why I keep coming back to Janet Jackson. The album wasn't called approval, acceptance, validation, recognition. It was called control. Control isn't about controlling people. It's about taking ownership of yourself. Janet wasn't waiting for someone else to decide who she could become. She decided. And that's leadership. That's branding. That's identity. I want to say something to every woman listening today. Your employer gave you a paycheck. They did not give you your purpose. Your organization gave you a title. They did not give you your gifts. Your company gave you responsibilities. They did not create your brilliance. Too often, we spend decades pouring our knowledge, our creativity, leadership, our loyalty into organizations without realizing we've invested more in their brand than our own. Then one day, the organization changes, leadership changes, budgets change, priorities change, and suddenly we're left trying to remember who we were before the title. So can I challenge you today? Stop mourning the title and start remembering the impact. You weren't valuable because you were a manager. You weren't valuable because you were a director. You weren't valuable because you worked for a certain company. You were valuable because what you consistently brought to the table. Leadership, problem solving, wisdom, experience, relationships, integrity. Those things didn't disappear when your email address stopped working. One of the reasons I talk so much about branding is because I want professionals to understand something. A career and a brand are not the same thing. A career depends on an organization. A brand depends on your reputation. Organizations hire people. Brands attract opportunities. Titles come and go. Reputations travel. That's why every professional should be building a brand while they're building a career. Because careers have seasons. Brands create legacies. Maybe this is a season where control looks different. Maybe control means starting the consulting business you've been talking about for years. Maybe control means finally writing the book. Maybe it means teaching, speaking, mentoring, launching the nonprofit, starting the podcast, building the business, applying for the executive role you convinced yourself you weren't qualified for. Maybe control simply means refusing to let one employer or supervisor determine your future. Control looks different for everyone, but it always begins with one decision. I'm taking ownership of my life. So here's what Janet's album still teaches us today. Control your narrative. If you don't define yourself, someone else will. Separate your identity from your title. Your title is temporary. Your purpose isn't. Invest in your reputation. People remember how you lead long after they forget your position. Own your expertise. Nobody can lay off your knowledge. Nobody can eliminate your experience, and nobody can take your wisdom. Stop waiting for permission. You don't need permission to lead, build, nor to reinvent yourself. Sometimes the greatest leadership decision you'll ever make is deciding what next chapter you're leaning into. I don't think Janet Jackson's Control was just an album. I think it was a leadership philosophy. It reminded us that real control doesn't come from a title, a paycheck, or someone else's approval. It comes from owning our identity. So to every woman who's grieving a layoff, grieving a restructuring, a position, her wondering what's next, hear me clearly. They may have eliminated your position. They did not eliminate your purpose. They may have changed your title. They did not change your gifts. They may have closed one chapter, but they did not write your ending. Don't spend so much time trying to get back to where you were that you miss where you're being called to go. Your next season isn't about replacing what you lost. It's about reclaiming who you've always been, because the most valuable thing you'll ever own is not your career. It's your identity. And once you take control of that, no one can take it away. If this episode added value, share it. with another leader in your network. And if you're ready to strengthen leadership, improve accountability, and create healthier, higher performing environments in your organization, connect with Elevate Leadership Partners to learn more about consulting, leadership development, workshops, and speaking opportunities. You can also join me every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central for the Elevation Lab. And that's every first Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Central for the Elevation Lab. It's a live weekly leadership conversation where we discuss workplace culture, accountability, communication, organizational performance, and the real challenges leaders are navigating today. Because strong organizations are built intentionally. So, if you're an individual ready to reclaim your professional identity, keep showing up, keep investing in yourself, keep building something that no one can take away. Until next episode, I'm LaTaye, and I'll see you on the L. Set the standard, lead with intention, elevate with impact.